All right, I think we're live.
Yep.
Hi, my name's Kenorah. This is Wester.
Hello.
We are from AusSpeedruns, and here we are to showcase Hades, just a standard single run, and Sonic Origins for Sonic 1. So good to just get started, I guess.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. It's been a bit since I played, but it'll be fun. It's great. So Hades, being a roguelike, pretty much everything we see in the run is random. We do our best to mitigate the randomness as we can, but it's a lot of kind of seeing, knowing what you're going to get in the upcoming chambers, and then kind of deciding what is it that I want out of this, and then making quick snap decisions based on those desires to kind of flesh out a build as best you can.
I guess we probably should have explained what speedrunning is before we got started.
Look, that's fair. I'm used to, so speedrunning. You want to go?
Okay, so speedrunning is just the act of trying to beat a game as fast as possible.
You know what?
And so a lot of the choices that you'd see in a game like this are quite different from what you would do during a casual play, where you would be trying to protect yourself as much as possible to try and not die, whereas now you're trying to optimize just getting to the end as fast as possible. So it's, if you've ever played any sort of racing game like Mario Kart, where you're just trying to get to the end as fast as possible in a race, imagine that, but for any game possible. And so for different genres, the way that you implement strategies is very, very different. So Hades and Sonic 1, you're going to see two very different speedruns. Yeah.
So while there are some weapons that are probably more casual friendly, some of the more complicated weapons like this one. So there's 6 different weapons in this game, and each of them have up to 4 aspects that kind of change the playstyle of each weapon. This is a shield, but you also get these you also get the ability to basically cast magic with your character Zagreus here. And the Beowulf shield lets us kind of put that magic into our shield rather than just separate. Any other blessings, maybe? That'll do. And kind of create large explosions. And we like that in this game because it kind of takes the aspects of the shields that we like, where it's a shield, it blocks things, but it also, the very large explosions handle enemies very, very well. That didn't... Do I have my summon on the wrong button? He's on my regular keybinds, and I'm very... Okay, I need to remember I have it on that one.
So imagine with this game being a roguelike, that it would have a lot of random elements to it. So it'd be a lot of adaptability.
Yes.
For every run being quite different from one another.
Pretty much. So there are things that are kind of standardized. For example, the first little biome of this game, Tartarus, we're escaping out of the underworld. We probably should also partially explain. Is only 12 chambers long. The next one, Asphodel, is 6 chambers. And so there are elements that are very set in stone, and so it's how we know to expect certain things at certain times, and the mini-boss arenas, and kind of how to deal with the bosses at each of the zones. But things like enemy spawns, enemy placements, that's all kind of random, as well as what kind of powers we get. So it's a lot of it kind of, we do get access to things that let us pick our build to an extent, but it's still quite RNG reliant. That's good. So this is the first boss of the end of the biome, Megaera, one of the Furies. She has some painful AoE attacks that we do want to try to avoid, and also does have phases. In saying that there's no RNG with the bosses, the first biome actually is one of the ones that once you get far enough in the game, there are slight variations on kind of which boss you fight. Megaera is the one you fight typically, and so probably people have the most practice against her. But there are 2 others that don't really, they have slightly different attacks, but it's not enough to be oh, well, this is a reset. You know what I mean? Most, some RNG painful points. Do you want to explain a little bit about how we might, things like RNG in games that we might like reset over?
Yeah, so it's RNG, obviously random number generator. So having random elements in games for speedrunners is generally the bane of their existence. It's just something that you can't control. And when you're trying to competitively play a game to a point where you're optimizing it to beat it as fast as possible, having something that you can't control that can end what would otherwise be a fantastic run is not ideal. And unfortunately does exist in the overwhelming majority of games, I would say, at some stage.
Yeah, I mean, I also run FF like Final Fantasy IX as a speedrun, and that is one of the most egregious Final Fantasy games in terms of RNG, just because at this point, especially like the PlayStation era, because we just haven't been able to find any way to like manipulate. A lot of those early games have certain ways to like manipulate RNG to your favor, because like Worcester said, we want things to be kind of as consistent and as as consistent as possible, so that we can keep improving that.
Yeah, so we both run quite a lot of RPGs. We just don't have time for them because they're much, much longer games.
Yeah.
So I've run a ton of Pokemon games. And so, for example, I've put myself personally 1,500 hours just trying to manipulate the Whitney fight in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, just to find the absolute best outcomes. Not everybody's as crazy as me about it. But yeah, willing to go the distance just to try and control the random elements as much as possible.
So speaking of random elements, anyone that might know Hades, in Asphodel there are 3 possible mini-bosses in the biome. There's the Mega Gorgon and Mega Slammer, there's the Witches fight, and then there's the Barge of Death. The Barge of Death is an auto-scroller, meaning I can to a degree determine. I'm also playing this really badly. How fast this section goes, but because it's just a lot of normal enemies rather than just like one big boss that if I did enough damage to it would let me pass on, it's the slowest out of the 3. So speaking of RNG, I got the worst RNG in this biome, but that's fine. This is fine. It's fine. And kind of Hades is actually an example where the community has kind of created like mods for the game that kind of standardize that RNG. I know Binding of Isaac is a very popular one that as well as a speed game does that as well, where more just kind of in the prospect of fairness and like it doesn't completely remove everything, but it does like standardize it a little bit more, and we have like separate leaderboards and completely legal as long as you use the set rules for that. Yeah,
so every game will have its own speedrun community, basically, and so Hades has quite a big one. It's got hundreds and hundreds of runners. Other games will just have 1 or 2 runners, but they'll still be very, very passionate about it, and they'll all have their own individual rules and just decide it based on what the community actually wants, how they want to engage in speedrunning. But then we'll come together overall for, I guess, like we're part of AusSpeedruns, so a group in Australia who do charity events and bring together people from all of those individual speedrun communities to show off their games.
So the fun thing about Hades as well is the game's not perfect. The kind of the magic that I was talking about with this cast system, so you get your power-ups through like different 8 different Olympian gods basically, and you get a random selection until you get 4 of them, and then that's kind of like your locked-in pool for the rest of the run. Certain gods can then pair together once you get like certain prerequisites to get duo boons, which are basically just like extra kind of more mechanic defining power-ups that are typically quite strong. The one that I just picked up, Mirage Shot, whenever you like send out one of your like magic spells, it duplicates it, but only at 25% power. The Beowulf Shield was made late enough in development that there was a bug found that the second like cast is maximum power, is like standard power. So it literally just doubles your damage, which is far, far stronger than it ever had any right to be. As you can imagine, just completely doubling all damage that you're doing with your main source of damage, which is what makes kind of Beowulf such a strong aspect, especially in the community where the casts already do a lot of damage, and being able to double that when they do such a large AoE is ridiculous. So here we're going into the third biome. The enemies here, most of the enemies here are kind of annoying as well because they like to, as we can see here, once we kill them once, they become just like little shades of themselves, and then we'll walk back to one of the, I'll take that. One of the places that they died or another creature died and revive. So this area in particular is very important to manage where you kill enemies and making sure that they don't die too close to where another one might already, so that you can kind of eliminate them out of the picture as well. Which the Beowulf continues to help with because it has such just a massive AoE, especially with its most common cast that we take here. And Hermes is the god of speed. We like Hermes in speedruns because he's speedy.
Do you actually get any ability to go faster?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so we have the dash that you see me do. Some of his more powerful abilities lets us dash more often, which is just good. Which you're doubling your movement options, as well as every time you dash, you get a little bit more sturdy, as well as a boost of movement speed. And so when those pair together, they don't stack, but it allows you to pretty consistently keep on your toes. And that's pretty much the bulk of Hades speedrunning, is you kind of never want to stop moving. Because when you stop moving, you're stopping killing things, and typically you're not moving towards the exit. Do you also want to explain maybe the difference between RTA and IGT in games and categories?
Oh, yeah. So typically with speedrunning, you're trying to beat the game as fast as possible, and so that ends up being in real time. So, if it takes you 20 minutes to beat a game, your time would be 20 minutes. But there are some games where that's actually not the ideal timing method. So, look, we've got a couple up here.
This is another RNG that it's just slower on RTA.
Yeah, so IGT is in-game time. So for some games, especially PC games, you'll use the time that the game gives you in-game as the competitive measure of how fast it took you to beat the game. Basically just because some PCs would be so fast that they would load the game faster, that your real time would actually be lower just by having a several $1,000 machine. And to not try and gatekeep people out of speedrunning, of needing to spend thousands of dollars when you can use the in-game time. And it works, because there are lots of games where the in-game time is not very accurate at all as well.
Hades is pretty accurate for the most part. Our community does primarily go off the IGT. We do, there are certain categories that by nature lean themselves to more RTA, centered, because especially when you're just doing a single run, like I would be right now, you can see the timer in the top corner is just kind of rolling. Whereas any weapon, any categories where you do multiple runs in a row, those by nature have to be RTA, just because we can't we probably could, but we just don't calculate the total total IGT. And so things in Hades, and I know other plenty of games, there can be really interesting ways to people can find out ways that things are optimal in certain communities versus than others, because it certain actions will stop or pause the in-game timer. Kind of like Hades, any menu you see pauses the in-game timer. So if you're only going purely off IGT, you have all the time in the world. You can pause. It's perfectly legal to pause, think about what you want to do in the room, and then continue, and it's completely legal on our leaderboards.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Then just run RTA, where every second counts and you never want to stop.
Good. That's what I will do when I play this game
when you play this game for the first time. Yep. I believe in you. So something I didn't quite touch up as well with Hades is you can get Hammers of Daedalus as well, which kind of fundamentally change how your weapons operate. And instead of now slamming a shield, I now shoot a projectile. That at the end of that projectile, it does the explosion. And so, my keybinds are wrong. Whoops. That's fine. So if you're ever familiar with the story of Theseus and the bull, they now work together in the Underworld, which is really rude, because it makes the fight a 2v1. But we do so much damage at this point that it kind of just doesn't matter. Like, these are like... I remember when I played this game casually, you just do so little damage, and like when you just don't have a dedicated build, you just don't know what you're doing, and things take forever. I was going to say something else, but I forgot. Right. Being a rogue light, there's slight differences on the definitions. There are permanent upgrades that you can get the more you play Hades, and so we never want to like incentivize per se like having a different setup. We want to kind of have everyone on the same playing field as best as we can. So in our community, we provide like a maxed out save file for all PC runners and by proxy Switch runners, because there is cloud save, and like it'll unlock everything, and so everyone can have the same playing field. Which in Hades, after looking at the code a lot, there are small things where it's like if you didn't unlock everything, certain things would actually be more likely, and we like those things more than the other things that we could unlock. But while we don't necessarily ban that, we also don't like incentivize it, and no one really does. Everyone just uses the maxed out save file because it's just simple and easy. But it's really interesting, like examples of sometimes not unlocking everything can actually be optimal when it comes to the RNG of like, are you getting this or that? So these are some of the final rooms of the run. I got lucky. So there are 5 chambers that we are looking for this Satyr sack to give to the best puppies in the world, Cerberus. It can never be in the first one. It has a 52% chance of being in the second one, and then has slightly like it's more likely the deeper you go, but it always has the chance of being 5. That's one of the things that one of the first things that we modded out when we introduced the modded category, just to completely remove that possibility, because people hated things like having a 50% chance to even finish the run after all of the other stuff that they had to deal with.
Because it's right at the end,
Because it's right at the end. Like, this is the final boss of the run. We are fighting the titular character, Hades, god of the dead. He has multiple phases, and he likes to go invincible, and it's a pain. And likes to go invisible, as well as invincible. So you can't even make the, like, invisible, he's invincible jokes, because he does both.
Well, was he actually invisible, or did he just disappear? Because you'd think if he's invisible, you could still hit him.
I'm too focused right now to be able to answer that question. So now he's down, which I remember the first time I had a feeling, but like it fakes you out with a phase 2. But once you see it the first time, it's never really, like, it kind of just skips a lot of the dialogue. So you might also see that my health is at 4, which would probably be scary. And yeah, but you do unlock like kind of permanent lives for like in the middle of a run. There are, and that's the run. So I believe that was like roughly 17 minutes, which was 10 minutes IGT. Not my best, but it's kind of a phenomenal showcase, because a lot of people will beat their first run and use like the shield and be like, I spent 40 minutes doing this, and they'll like, because this game has a built-in in-game timer, it kind of and like even Hermes says like, oh, you should try to go fast. Like, a lot of people inherently, even being outside of the speedrun community, like to speedrun this game and like showcase that on things like Reddit or things like that. And then we'll come in and be like, my time's this, like, how can I improve? And then like, because we have a Discord that's full with friendly runners and such, and people like always love coming in with their times of like, I'm so proud of this, and they go, oh, I can get that, I'm going to strive to get that.
Yeah.
And it's a really wholesome experience. Speaking of wholesome, let's move on to Sonic Origins.
Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to switch Steam accounts.
I was going to close the game first.
No.
I think the game's still running. Audio still running.
All right, here we go. We'll close it.
I don't think they closed it. It also won't let you switch unless you let me close it.
All right, you close it. Close it. Come on, mate.
I couldn't close it until it lets me pick up the item. There you go. It's closed.
It's
give it a bit.
closed?
Give it a bit. Give it a bit. There you go.
All right, there we go. Yeah, we're good at speedrunning our games, but
Look, we want to
getting to
complete
them.
them, not close them. It's when they're closed that's the problem. So now, from a game that I know everything about, now it's a game that you know everything about, and
Yes.
I don't.
yes. So I'm going to be running Sonic 1 in Sonic Origins Plus. So Sonic 1 obviously is a really old game, came out in 1991. Sonic Origins came out last year, Origins Plus came out this year, and it introduced Amy into the game, and I'm going to be playing as Amy.
So is Amy faster than Sonic? Or because Sonic's pretty known for being pretty fast.
Sonic is known for being fast, so in their actual running speed or actions throughout the game, they are all exactly the same speed. However, because of their unique attributes within the run, Sonic is faster. However, currently Amy does have the fastest time. That's because I have only played Amy.
So if you were to play Sonic, Sonic would be on the
Yes,
leaderboard faster.
Sonic would be the
But
fastest.
because you only play Amy.
Currently, yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. So by default, Amy's fastest. Amy is the known fastest at this
Yes,
time.
known by everybody in this room because I haven't posted my videos yet.
It's funny, kind of similarly with Hades too, because there's 24 different aspects that you can play with. It's always kind of whenever people come in and be like, what's the fastest? It's like, that is a loaded question because there's so much variability that people could learn. You good?
Yep. Just setting the character. All right. So we'd go in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so Sonic, this is a perfect game for speedrunning because it's already all about going fast. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, Amy's unique abilities in this game, she's got a hammer. And the hammer allows her to hit enemies a little bit easier because it extends her hitbox. And if she uses the hammer on the ground, it also allows her to do a little hammer dash. I'll just do it now. I should have spin dashed there, but I'm just showing off the little hammer dash. So it gives you... I did miss the ring. That would take me into a special stage, and that would be very bad.
Is it not fast?
No, it is not fast at all. But so the hammer dash gives you a little bit of burst of speed. It puts you basically at your max running speed if you weren't using momentum to build speed. The thing that's really good about it, though, is it allows you to turn around on a dime, even in midair. So I'll show that off a bit later. So for Green Hill 2, I am going to... Oh, my goodness. I'm going to try and go down here, and then we're going to pick up these speed shoes. This platform, hopefully. Yep, we're going to take this route here. And try and get this jump. Nope, we didn't get it. So, yeah, Sonic, it's pretty self-explanatory in that you're just going fast. You're just trying to get right to the end as fast as possible. But so the game's all about momentum. So it's about using the terrain of the stage to build as much momentum as possible. Your only real actions that you have, outside of the hammer things that I talked about before, that all characters have, is you can spin dash. So if you're stopped and you hold down and you press the buttons, you can charge a spin dash, and that will unleash you somewhat quickly, depending on how quickly you do the spin dash. See, that's a good spin dash. That's a good spin dash. That's not good. Tails got the spring, but I didn't. How funny.
And there's always interesting layers to speedruns, because there are games like, kind of coincidentally, Sonic and Hades, where a lot of the speed comes from being proficient in the game.
Okay, so I need Tails at this section, and he is off screen, so I
there
have
he
to
is.
wait for him to show up. So I'm actually going to have Tails carry me into this boss, and just to hit the boss. I've got invincibility at the moment, so I can't take damage. So as long as I'm just interacting with the boss or in his hitbox, I just, get to take him out as fast as possible. So Green Hill is actually a pretty easy zone. I lost a few seconds in all of the stages there, just by...
But it's so easy.
Yeah, just by not paying attention, really, and just showing off the hammer dash. And so now we get to Marble. Marble does not like you going fast. This is also a really cycle-based zone. So what I mean by that is there are lots of objects that start as soon as the level starts. So For some of them, it'll be like, so those like moving platforms, for example. So it won't actually matter how fast I do the start of this stage. I'll have to wait for some of the moving platforms, like this one. Like that's the first cycle you can make. But you can do the start a bit faster than that. Tails is going to push the block the wrong direction. Thank you, Tails.
He's doing his best.
Yeah, so it's one of the difficulties with running this game is Tails is helpful, but he is also a troll. So you kind of have to live with the bad to get the good, unfortunately. So this object is a camera timer. So it only exists when I get there. I'm not going to make that. And so these little platforms that I'm waiting for here are universal timers. So they started as soon as the stage started, but it just lines them up really badly when you get on that cycle. For when the pillar comes down, it's just the platforms are just not where I need them to be to make that jump. But that's actually kind of standard of how that stage goes. Marble 2, I should be able to show off a nice utility for how the hammer dash works, like turning around in midair at like 10 seconds in this stage.
Is getting hit part of it?
That was not part of it, actually. You do try and go not as fast as possible there, because if you build up too much speed, it's really hard to hit the switch. That's the turnaround in midair with the hammer dash. Like a lot of people who have played as Amy think she's just discount Sonic, and it's not true. She actually plays so different to Sonic if you play optimally. Those people just do not know how to play Sonic. So all of the world except me, basically. Oh, no. And neither do I, apparently. Yeah, so the hammer dash, like there, is just used to get a little bit of burst of speed. So Tails can be helpful in this stage, but he never is. Just absolutely never. So if Tails was here right now, he would be with me and we would like break these blocks together, but he's just never here.
Again,
so Tails
he's doing his best.
Yeah, so he's AI controlled, but you can make small controls of him yourself. So if you press up and then jump, you can force Tails to fly. And he's just stuck in the wall there. Well done. Jumped out. You can force him to fly. And so I'll be using that quite extensively here for him to fly and then catch me, like what I was doing on the boss on Green Hill 3. This is the hardest instance of it here in Marble 3, because I have to jump off this hilly terrain. First, I've got to spin dash. I've got to jump off this hilly terrain and get him. Oh, that was perfect. That's actually really hard, because what can happen is you get a really high jump because you're going up a hill, but Tails is going down a hill when he jumps. So he gets a really low jump, and then he just cannot catch you. But so there's Tails is going to break a block for me. So I still need Tails for later on in the stage. You see, I just grabbed like a fire shield. Tails, come on, mate. I used the hammer to just like get a fire shield that was inside the wall, because it extends your hitbox. So the funny thing is it extends your hitbox to, I think it's 50 pixels. And if you use the insta-shield with Sonic, it's 49. You cannot get that fire shield with Sonic using the insta-shield. That 1 pixel makes a difference.
That is
Come on,
fantastic.
Tails. Nah, Tails didn't get a hit there. I wanted him to stop it, because he didn't get that one either. It was so close. There, you got that one. Well done, Tails. Got
His
the last
best.
one. Did his best. And so you just have to wait for the screen to actually allow you to move to the right before you can hit those capsules there. So Tails can actually pop the capsule as well. But as the AI, when you're not controlling him and you're forcing him to fly, he's trying to copy your actions, just a little bit delayed, but he just misses. So he doesn't exactly copy you. And obviously, because he's got different abilities, so when I do, like, for example, the hammer dash here to go backwards into the spring, he can't do that. So he's not following me anymore. So that's a really good example of the hammer dash there, to like get those speed shoes and then move to the right. Just going to zoom over the top of this ceiling here. Want to jump right at the end of that ramp. I don't think I made that. Nah. So you can just make it up to that platform. So yeah, the way, I guess, momentum works with the terrain, when you're on flat ground, when you're jumping, that's just going to be a normal jump. But when you're going up a hill, it's a really big jump. And when you're going down a hill, it's a smaller jump, but it moves your momentum more horizontal. I actually had to do horizontal.
I was going to say your coins were nice, but now they're not.
No, they're not. And so you can use that to transfer your momentum throughout different ramps. That was a really good jump there. This is another cycle-based level. I don't think I'm quite going to make this. I'm going to try and, yeah. So that platform just stopped me from just spin dashing across that whole segment. I'm going to use the hammer dash to lose speed there on purpose, just so I can jump up to that platform, because I was going really fast. I took damage there from those spike balls on purpose, just so I could spin dash through them and not have to stop, basically.
I love techniques where you intentionally slow down for a little bit to be able to then gain, like, make up more time later.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in Sonic, but that's like the only use in this run where you use the hammer dash to do it. So one of the other things with this game, we don't use pure real time when we're timing like any Sonic game because of this time bonus. So if you finish a stage in like under 30 seconds in this game, you get a 50,000 time bonus. And so it would actually be faster in real time to, oh no.
Oh, to wait.
I'm supposed to be up there. Come on, Tails, fly me. Fly me. Why can he not fly? Okay, we're just going to go down and hit the spring. Okay, that was not intentional, but all good.
You just got those rings too.
I've got rings now. As long as you've got at least one ring when you take damage, you're still fine. And I shouldn't actually be dying before Scrap Ring 2 anyway. He says. Okay.
Never say never.
Tails died. I actually want him to fly me up there.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
These things are on a universal cycle as well. So ideally, I would do this with Amy, but if I mess up, I want Tails to help me out and be able to fly me, because I want the top path here. So it's really important that I don't fall off there. Otherwise, I have to go through another like pillar of garbage. Get the speed shoes here and the invincibility for the boss.
There's an interesting thing too, like across just all different kinds of speedruns, where like there are some speed games like Hades and as well like Sonic to an extent as well, I imagine, where a lot of it comes from your proficiency and like experience with the game and kind of you doing what you might normally do just in a really optimized and fast manner. And then there are plenty of speedruns in which there are tricks and skips developed that...
Tails got the capsule.
Good
Well
job,
done.
Tails. There's a lot of tricks and skips like that you go out of bounds, you just skip entire sections of the game. And so there's never really like a speedrun is almost never similar to another kind of speedrun, really.
Yeah, so the original Sonic 1 is so busted. You basically don't play any stage of the game in the original Sonic 1. You can just go inside walls and then just wrap, and then you end up at the end of the stage constantly. But this game is rebuilt under a completely different engine, so none of those skips work. I actually want Tails to stay with me, so this is excellent. He's done so well to actually keep up with me there.
We're proud of him.
Because I need him to fly me across this gap. You can't make that without Tails. When you do that stage without Tails, the only way you can go onto this route is by going into the water and then hitting a switch. And that takes like 20 seconds. So it's way better to have Tails here. Just going to use the hammer dash here. That's the best I have done that stage for like all week. That was... and it was all just because Tails was there by complete fluke. I did not actually play the start very well at all. But yeah, so Labyrinth. So this is the water zone. The first two stages of Labyrinth I actually really like. Labyrinth 3 is really, really bad. We'll talk about that when I get to it. So the hammer dash has a lot more utility underwater, because when you're in the water, you're going slower. But the hammer dash actually is the same speed as outside of the water. So as soon as you hit the ground, you're just going at like max speed.
Absolutely.
That was really good making that cycle too. That's really hard. And I've got the perfect momentum there. So there's lots of little things, Tails, just having a bit of fun. There's lots of little things about this run that like it's really hard to notice
blink
because it's
and you
going
miss
by
it. Yeah, absolutely.
So quickly. But it's like that hitting that spring and getting that momentum to go straight to that ring box is actually really tricky. Oh my God, get up there, Amy. Come on.
I bet Sonic would have made that jump.
Sonic is actually a different height to Amy. He's a bit taller.
So yes.
No.
So yes, he would have made that jump.
He actually might have. I'm really close to drowning. I actually am going to die.
There's a bubble.
I'm good.
There you go. We definitely do not never die in speedruns ever.
Never.
We
I'm very good at
absolutely
games.
take the safest and no.
Yeah, so Labyrinth 3 is the longest stage in this game, and it also has 0 rings in the entire level, and you hit no checkpoints. And the boss
there's rings?
No, I'm dodging those. I don't need them. I am going to get a shield here. So these aren't in the original Sonic one as well. These are the elemental
right
shields from
I feel like
Sonic
you lied
3
to
and
us.
Knuckles.
You've said that there are no rings.
There are no rings in the speedrun path. I will clarify
Okay.
my earlier statement.
You said no rings.
Yeah, but so the bubble shield here prevents me from drowning as well. You can actually make this without drowning if you play optimally, but you have like half a second of misplay. So optimally, you would actually skip the water shield and go for that strat, but it's such a high risk. So I would die now if I tried it, because I was supposed to make a little bit of a higher platform there.
So
but I am not going to get any rings. So we'll try and do... So the boss here is like a crawl, basically. You're trying to climb up as fast as possible as this water is like rising beneath you. And it's not fun. You can get ahead of the boss, but it's extremely difficult. And if you mess it up, you will die. And you can get hit back down to like the absolute bottom of this whole section. So I'm just going to let him go and just follow him in behind.
So if you do ever want to like more accurately tell your friends, get good, get them to learn the same speed games as you, and then when they say, oh, this thing's really, you have a 0.5 second buffer of being able to not drown without the bubble shield, you could just tell them to, I don't know, get better at the game and just get good. Do it. Just do it.
Just get good.
Just do it.
Basically.
If it's possible, just do it.
So that actually wasn't bad.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
As I said, that is a very scary stage. So that's 4 zones down. We've only got 2 to go. And the next one is Starlight. This one is my favorite in the game. And it is very good at showing off momentum and how you like transfer between different ramps.
And you got rings.
I do have rings, yes. I won't die till Scrap Brain 2, trust me. So like hitting this spring and then transferring the speed over here.
Yeah.
Hit this spring, deliberately stop at the wall just so I can immediately spin dash. Same here again. Nice hitting that platform. Got the enemy kill with the hammer. And hopefully get this jump off the fans. Beautiful 19.
And there are also like plenty of speedruns too. Like even though the word speedrun implies that you have to always be going the fastest, there are plenty of games out there still where a lot of it is still like your decisions or your your movement. And so like a lot of JRPGs, while longer, are a lot more kind of relaxed because it's not these like super high paced, fast, Sonic, momentum, and you lost it all. Or like Hades. And it's also like why I enjoy that dichotomy of being able to like, some days I don't feel like engaging all my brain cells. Some days I just feel like if I just do these things in particular really well, then I'll be fine. And I then sit through 7.5 minutes of a cutscene. 7.5 minutes.
Okay, so for example, what I was talking about before in real time, it would have actually been faster to wait for 30 seconds to pass. This is the worst possible time I could have gotten for trying to beat it as fast as possible because I got to wait for this time bonus because I just got under 30 seconds.
It's definitely good that we're not doing RT.
Yeah, look, there's no timer. It's fine. I'm doing good. So Starlight 3, I really want Tails to help me out for this boss. He's going to help me out for the stage. I'm immediately going to have him catch and fly. So that's hold up and then press the buttons. So once Tails catches me, I'm effectively controlling Tails because I'm holding right. But as soon as I let go, now I'm controlling Amy again. And Tails is trying to catch me, but I'm just not letting him.
I've never liked his exhausted expression. Why does it look the way it does?
Oh, I made it. Beautiful. That's actually a really hard jump, getting the momentum transfer there. But I missed that one. I think I'm going to wait for Tails here. Beautiful. And we're going to have him fly me up here. So this is actually just more about having Tails come with me, because now that I spin dash with him, he's going to be at the boss. And then I'm going to try and have him catch and fly me here. And this is just so I can control Tails. Like, I would actually rather be at the bottom as Amy, getting hits off as well. But, oh, get him. No! Come on, Tails. No, Tails. All right, I'll just get the last one.
So if someone were to be playing as Tails at this moment...
yes, I would be concerned because people are not good at playing as Tails. But yeah, if you had a co-op partner, so you had like a second person, they would just be as Tails getting the hits, and I could be as Amy getting hits as well. But if I was doing that, Tails would just be flying all over trying to copy Amy's movements, and it just would not work at all. So this is now the last zone, Scrap Brain. Scrap Brain 1 is actually a fun level. Scrap Brain 2 is so bad. I hate Scrap Brain 2. So I'm going to have Tails copy me over here, and it's going to be another jump and fly. So these objects here, these ones that are going to flash, they are a third type of timed object. They are power on cycle. So as soon as the game boots, they start their cycle. So you have no idea where they're going to be when you start the stage. So like that section, you do need Tails to fly you up to the top, but it's actually fastest if the platforms are on a good cycle. for you to actually do that section with Amy, but you can be sitting there and just waiting for like 8 seconds for them to actually appear.
Hey, you got 30 seconds.
I did. That was perfect. Well timed. So Scrap Brain 2, this is my least favorite level. If I'm going to die, it will be here, and it's so likely that I die.
Yep.
I could have just died right there on purpose. I usually do. But so these wheels are awful. Sometimes you just do not stick to them. But, okay, that was, I can't even make an excuse. That was just my fault. I just
missed.
I missed the jump button. Okay. But there's some more wheels over here. There we go. Okay, that was actually nice. I'll take damage on purpose.
Purpose, he says.
Yeah. For the iframes.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you get hit, you're invincible just for a little bit.
Manipulating the RNG.
That's not going to make it. We'll bounce off this. That one was also on purpose.
Because now the next cycle is going to be perfectly aligned. See?
Oh, it actually is.
Oh, yeah,
how good?
Yeah, see? Because you took that damage. As a speedrunner, you can always find a way to blame mistakes as reframed positivity.
Yep.
Manipulating RNG, absolute bullshit. But they'll always maybe slightly be true.
Yeah, it's always hard to try and find the line because sometimes you actually are manipulating the RNG and sometimes you're just not at all, but you say you will be.
Sometimes you just made a mistake.
Yeah, so this stage, if you don't take that little path that I did there, it takes like 2 minutes. It should take more like 20-odd seconds, the way that I've done it, just by like skipping underneath that little bit there. Oh, that was... I'm not going to make that.
Yeah.
That was on purpose.
Uh-huh.
All right, 21. And so now this is final zone, so this is the final boss. So you have no rings here, so if you take... Oh, please get him. Well done, Tails. If you get hit by any of these, you just immediately die. But so this boss is random, actually. RNG. I'm dead. If you get crushed, you also immediately die. I literally lost Amy. I just could not see her anymore. She's too small.
She's the same...
No. She's smaller than Sonic. Trust me. She is the same height as Tails. But yeah.
No, she's not. She's taller than Tails.
This is the hardest pattern to get, is when they both come out of the middle. But yeah, it's just random which pistons fire.
She's totally taller than Tails.
No, it's the same.
Can you get double hits though?
No, you can't get double hits. So if the boss basically is still in its iframes by the time you can get second hits. As Knuckles on this boss, you can actually clip inside the wall, and you can actually get hits during this phase where these little balls are coming out, and you can beat this boss in like 40 seconds. Because the iframes do wear off when he's not on the screen. I almost got crushed again.
As opposed to 55, 56, 57.
Well, it's going to be like a minute 20 or something like that. Last hit. Yep. So you want to get that last hit just like right on the mid part of the cycle. If you get it too early, because the boss like just dies a bit slower, you lose time. And if you get it too late, you have to wait for that screen to pass. But yeah, that was Sonic 1 with Amy. We're done.
Thank you so much, GenerOZity, for letting us come on and showcase some fast-paced runs. And if you do want to watch any more speedruns, we do have our speedrunning stage all weekend long. We've got some fantastic runs.
Yeah, so we're here at PAX as well. We're just, kind of out in the main area, in the public viewing area, just out from this theater. Don't watch the last run of tonight because it'll be me doing this again.
Absolutely watch the last run of tonight.
But it'll be with a co-op partner. But yeah, if you're interested in speedrunning, you can also just come up and ask us about it. Just get involved.
Tails is even doing his best, even in the cutscenes.
Even in the demo, yeah. Still can't do it right. But yeah, it's basically just, have you got a game that you really like and you want to play the game again? Speedrun it.
Yeah.
That's it, basically.
That's the biggest thing. Like, there are always beginner-friendly routes and things like that. The biggest thing that I always suggest to people who are mildly interested in speedrunning is pick a game that you love so much that if you played it 20,000 times, you would not get sick of it. Because sometimes that's what you do, where you just...
sometimes that's what it takes. Yeah, to be the absolute best.
And, it's just attempt after attempt. You'll find, the smallest things, and if you aren't loving what you're doing, you're going to get burnt out and drained so quickly. So, love of the game that you're doing is absolutely key. Do we have... how much time do we have left?
I have no idea. Can't see a timer at all. 2 minutes.
Cool.
All right.
Have you got a favorite speedrun to watch? That's not your own.
Oh, damn. That rules out the top 100.
101.
101. So obviously a really popular speed game is Super Mario 64. I'm sure everybody's heard of those games. That game, in terms of as a speedrun, it just translates really well visually for how it comes across. Oh, it's really hard, not for myself. One of my favorite runs that I did, I'm just going to talk about me because I can't think about it, is in WarioWare Twisted. You control the game by with gyro controls by moving the console, and the optimal strat is to actually throw the console in the air because you have to spin so fast, you can't actually do it with it in your hand. It's brilliant. And so some people actually play on a GameCube as well because it's a Game Boy Advance game with the Game Boy player and will actually twist the GameCube. I've seen other people like pick up the GameCube with their feet and play with their feet to try and twist it. It's fantastic.
You ran that at ASM
2019.
2019. And we captured a perfect photo of the moment where he does that, where like
it's just in the air.
It's in the air, it's mid-turn. It's fantastic. Was that 2 minutes?
I think it was about 2 minutes.
Yeah, but
so I'm Worcester, by the way.
My name's Kenorah.
Yeah. If you want to, just talk to us about anything, you can just come chat. Yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yep.